Hello, everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel. Exclusive Lindsey Vonn feeling optimistic ahead of Milano Cortina 2026 games. I still have what it takes. After finishing second at the World Cup finals, the US ski legend reflects on the highs and lows of her comeback season and why experience could give her an edge at the Winter Olympics in Cortina d'Ampezzo. I will definitely be the oldest, but also the most experienced on that track, the 40-year-old told Olympics. This season couldn't have ended any better, a beaming Lindsey Vonn told Olympics.com after being on a World Cup podium for the first time in 2,565 days. It was an emotional weekend for the U.S. alpine skiing legend, who couldn't hold back her tears of joy in Sun Valley, Idaho, after her second place in the women's Super G at the World Cup finals. I always knew that I could, but I think that it just gives me a lot of confidence going into next year. I have a lot of work to do still, but I'm a lot more positive after today, the upbeat 40-year-old told us from a terrace near the Challenger course. I feel like I ski my best when the pressure is high, and I really wanted to ski well for my family and for the home crowd, she added. With most World Cup events taking place in Europe, this result has a special meaning for her, particularly with the prospect of racing at Milano Cortina 2026 in less than a year. I have had very few opportunities in my life to race a speed event in the United States, and so I wanted to maximize that opportunity. And I think that also gives me confidence going to Cortina and knowing that I can perform when the pressure is high. I still have what it takes. And of course I have to qualify, but after today, I feel really optimistic about my chances. Lindsey Vonn, a season of highs and lows. Vonn returned to ski racing in December, nearly 6 years after her retirement. She impressed in her first few outings, finishing just outside the podium in St. Anton, Austria, in her third World Cup race since her comeback. However, the American veteran didn't achieve those heights again until this weekend in the USA. My high was definitely this podium today. I think getting fourth in my second Super G race back was pretty special as well, she said, reflecting on her season. After St. Anton, she recorded 4 DNFs across the World Cup and World Championships, starting with a crash in the Cortina Super G, where she was on track for a podium finish. There were a lot of lows. I crashed a couple of times. I really wanted to ski well in Cortina, but I made a big mistake at the bottom. I think I was probably most disappointed in that race because I was on track for a good result, and that's kind of been the story of my season. I just haven't been able to put all the pieces together. In particular, the Minnesota-born skier has struggled with her equipment. This season was really hard. It had a lot of challenges that I'd never encountered before, she admitted. I felt like I came in with no setup at all, basically starting from scratch and having to figure everything out during the season, which I've never done before. Normally, you have months to prepare, if not years. So, I definitely faced a lot of challenges I hadn't expected. Vonn believes that the positives outweigh the negatives. I had some really great races that gave me a lot of optimism. I didn't always put my best skiing together in one run, but again, to finish the season with a podium means that my hard work paid off. I just have to keep working hard and I'll be ready for next year, Lindsey Vonn. Knowledge is power. I think the only thing that really helped me this season was my experience, the Vancouver 2010 gold medalist added. It's really hard to be away from a sport for 6 years and then come back to it and be at a competitive level. And I think with speed skiing, it takes a lot of knowledge of the sport. It takes a lot of runs on the tracks to really get to know them well. The races in St. Anton serve as a great example, as she was the competitor who had raced most on that track. I think that gave me a competitive edge. And the same with Cortina. I will definitely be the oldest, but also the most experienced on that track. So I think that gives me a slight advantage. And, of course I'll have my disadvantages. But I think that in ski racing, the knowledge I have is a lot more impactful than perhaps in other sports. The Olympia del Tafane slope will host the women's alpine competitions at the 2026 Games. There are always mountains I feel more comfortable on, like Lake Louise or Val d'Isère, and Cortina is probably my favorite, if not second favorite, course in the entire world. Vonn holds the record for most World Cup wins at the Venue 12. It's where I really figured out how to be competitive in speed events, and I had my first podium there in 2004. I didn't really change my routine much after that. So, needless to say, it was a turning point for me in my career, and it's always held a special place in my heart. It's also a huge motivating factor that the Olympics are in Cortina, Lindsey Vonn. Milano Cortina 2026, my most meaningful Olympics. Vonn needs to earn her spot for Milano Cortina 2026, but finishing her comeback season on a high has given her a boost of confidence. Basically, the top 4 Americans are going to be racing in each discipline, so I need to not just be fast but faster than my teammates, she explained. And, our team is really stacked. There are a lot of incredible skiers, including young talents like Lauren McCouga and, of course, Breezy Johnson, who's now world champion. So there will be a lot of people to compete against, but I think getting this podium this weekend gives me a lot of confidence. And I know I can stack up against the best in the world. After making her Olympic debut at Salt Lake City 2002, the American legend is aiming to qualify for her 5th Games. I think this would definitely be the most meaningful Olympics of my career, she said. I'd be going at 41 years old, which is something that's never been done in ski racing for a woman. And I hope that it inspires others to follow their dreams as well. One of the coolest parts of this journey is just getting the response from people, especially women around my age who still have dreams and aspirations. I hope they continue to follow them, just like I am. Please subscribe the channel, share this with a friend, thank you.